All right, guys, welcome back to the Authentic Society. It's been 2 weeks. I took a week off because I went on a trip last week. I did not vlog my Nashville trip because one or two things. I'm a terrible vlogger. I really like to be in the moment when I'm on vacation with my friends and my husband. My whole life is surrounded about my phone and technology and social media. I do it also for my main career as well. So when I get to spend time off of my phone, it's the most healing and beautiful thing ever. So when I'm on a trip, I really do like to immerse myself in that trip and not be on my phone too much. Obviously, we're creatures of habits, and no matter what, you're going to pick up your phone and scroll. It's just the part of it. But feeling like I have to vlog kind of gives me really bad anxiety. So I didn't vlog that trip. Probably there wasn't that much to see anyway. We kind of did the same 5 things over and over again. But if you haven't ever been to Nashville, it's a lot of fun and you should go. So yeah, that's really all on the new updates of the week. It did snow this week. I am in North Carolina and it snowed. We actually literally had a snowstorm. It snowed for 2 days straight, which is absolutely wild because before this year, it hadn't snowed in 3 years. But I'm sick of it. I'm tired of it. I think I played in it for 5 minutes and then I went back inside. I'm ready for spring. I'm ready for summer. And today, as I'm recording this video, it is actually in the 60s and nice out. So after this, I'm going to go touch some grass. I recommend you do that as well. And if you are listening to this on Monday, I hope you have a great week and a great Monday. And I think this episode, every single person that's listening can relate to, because today we're going to be talking about friendship breakups. And if you're any of my ex besties, you're missing out. I'm just kidding. I'm not kidding. But anyway, today I'm going to talk about friendship breakups because those are just as painful sometimes as a relationship breakup. And I take a lot of pride in my friendships. I really try to put time and energy and have open communication with all of my close friendships. And it's just something that I really like to take pride in. And I genuinely love being surrounded by great women and men that I can call friends. And at 28 years old, looking back on all my friendship breakups, I feel like I've learned a lot. And I also feel like I've never lost a friendship that I didn't replace with a 10 times better one. So if you are going through a friendship breakup, just know that there is a better friendship coming for you, and they are going to be supportive and wonderful. And if you are in a friendship where you don't feel supported, or you feel like you are having to compete, or you're feeling like you can't be honest with them, or you're feeling like you're walking on eggshells, or you're feeling like they just genuinely don't like you, I promise when you surround yourself with good, genuine friends, you will never feel that way again. You will never feel like you're in competition. You will never feel like you can't say what you want to say or be who you are. And if you are in a friendship that you feel like you constantly have to watch what you say or walk on eggshells, or there's some weird jealousy thing, well, fuck that, because life is too short to have bad friends. And the older I get, the more I realize that if a friendship's just not working out for me, or a friendship is toxic, or a friendship is draining, then that's probably not the right friendship I need to have, right? I was telling my friend this the other day. It's like, if I am feeling like I have to be friends with somebody because I don't want to, but I feel like I've always been that person's friend, so I feel like I have to be their friend, and it's draining every time we hang out, or I don't really like keeping up with them, or when we talk, I just don't even like what they say, then that friendship's not for me, right? And it's not for the other person either, because what good is a friendship if the second party doesn't want to be in it, right? And it's hard. It's hard because there's never a right way to end a friendship, and there's never a right way to end a relationship. somebody's always going to be the bad guy in someone's story. And accepting that you're might be the villain in other people's stories is the first step to moving on. You know, I always wanted to, when I was younger, to defend my name in other people's rooms that I wasn't even in. And I always wanted to control the narrative of what people were saying about me. And I always wanted people to hear my side because I never wanted to be the villain. And I always thought that I got done dirty or got done wrong. And I wanted to always voice that. And I'm here to say, I don't care if I'm the villain in your story. Could not care less. What other people's opinions of me, it's none of my business. I want you to repeat that back to yourself. Somebody's opinion of you is none of your business. Once you get that through your head, you literally release so much negative energy and negative feelings about yourself. If somebody thinks I'm a bitch, if somebody thinks I'm the villain in their story, or if somebody thinks I'm dumb, stupid, that's none of my business what they think of me, because I don't think that about myself. And the people that I have surrounded myself by, I genuinely know don't think that of me either. So why do you care if somebody's talking shit about you in a room you're not in? Okay, go for it. Might as well give them something to talk about, you know? So friendship breakups, right? They can be sometimes worse than your regular relationships. Especially if, like, women, since most of my audience, 99% of my audience is women, I feel like women, we connect very deeply in our friendships. Sometimes our friendships provide us stuff and emotions and support that even our marriages don't provide us, right? There are things that I can talk to my husband about anything, right? But that doesn't mean he completely understands it or fully gets it like another woman does. I have friendships that I can talk and connect to them about things with my body, or even if you've had a child. You know, there's just some things men are never going to fully understand. And that's why I think women really lean on other women's relationships. We really crave that, to be validated and to be understood and to have those deep connections that make you feel less alone in this world. And that's why friendships are so very important. But when you get into the wrong relationship, it actually does way more damage than it does positivity in your life, right? And I have had friendships, young friendships, a lot of my friendship breakups that I went through that I thought were like the end of the freaking world were when I was, younger, in college, right out of college. And they're tough, right? You are so close to this person. You've told them things you never told anybody. They've seen you at your lowest. They've seen you at your most crazy. And then one day they're just not there anymore. And you just have to accept, oh, this person didn't like me anymore. And that's tough. But what I've learned in my most horrible friendship breakups is that sometimes people just aren't compatible. And no matter how much you like somebody or admire somebody or have fun with them or go out and drink with them or text them all the time or even Snapchat them all the time, some people are just not compatible. And compatibility is such a big, important part in every relationship we take place in our life, right? It's very hard to have a friendship where you guys don't really agree on anything. They can happen, and that's okay. You don't have to agree on everything, but I do feel like a lot of times my friendship breakups have happened because we're just not compatible people. We don't think alike. We don't make the same life decisions. They weren't people that I would ever take advice from. They weren't people that I looked at their life and thought, gosh, I love their life. I want to be around women that I admire, that are strong, that can take communication, and where we're compatible. We like a lot of the same things. We share a lot of the same moral compass, and we have the same values, right? Because if I am going through something in my family or my marriage and I'm looking for one of my women friends for understanding or for advice, having that compatibility and having that same moral compass really truly matters, because I don't want to take advice from somebody where I'm looking at their life and I don't admire how they deal with things in their own life, right? And that's a lot of the time why a lot of my friendships have not worked out is, you start to get frustrated with your friends, right? Have you ever had that friend where they just make bad choice after bad choice after bad choice in their life, whether it's with men or their other friendships or with their career, and they complain and complain and complain, and they never want to hear advice. They never take your advice, and they never take anybody's advice. They just keep making the same mistakes over and over and over again, and you just have to support it because you're like, hey, this is my friend. I have to support it, but I don't agree with it. I don't want to take their advice because they don't take their own advice. They don't want to better their own life. And I really think that's why a lot of friendships end. You look at each other and you have to go, is this a woman I would take advice from? Is this a woman I would trust with secrets? Trust is everything in every relationship, right? If you do not trust your friend sitting across from you, they don't need to be in your circle. Now, that doesn't mean you need to cut them off and, never speak to them again. But why are we letting people we don't trust into the deepest, darkest places or the safest places of our lives, right? Why am I ever going to have women I don't trust in my home? Why am I ever going to have women I don't trust allowed to have any type of opinion about my marriage? Why am I going to have women I don't trust to be around my kids? Right? And so I really encourage you, if you are looking at a friend and you don't fully trust her because of the action she makes in her own life, then that might not be the best friendship for you. You can't change people. You have to love them and accept them for where they're at. And trust is such a huge thing for me in all of my relationships. And the older I get, I want to look around every single person that I'm close to in my life and be able to trust them without a shadow of a doubt. Like, I want to be able to pick up the phone, say, hey, this is top secret. You can't tell anybody. And know the friends that I'm calling and telling aren't going to tell anybody. And that comes along with, if you can't trust them and they're only a good time friend, are they really a good time? Because I'm the type of person, how can I have good time with people when I don't trust them? I don't like their values or their moral compass, or I don't think highly of them, And I think we've gotten too comfortable in a society of just being like, not everyone has to get along, but we should have fun. And like, not everything has to be that deep and serious. And you're right, it doesn't. It's so simple for me in my friendships. If I don't trust you, if I feel like I'm in competition with you, or I feel like there's any jealous animosity, or you are not rooting for me and I'm not rooting for you, we're done. There doesn't need to be a friendship. If I can't be a truly authentic version of myself around you and be able to have open communication with you, then there shouldn't be a friendship. It's so simple for me. And that does suck because it does make you value all the friendships in your life and look up close, but life is too short for shitty friendships. Life is too short to not trust the people around you. And I wish I could tell my younger self when I was going through so many friendship breakups, I wish I could tell her really, do you even admire this friend of yours? Why do you keep sticking around? Because you guys go out and drink and have fun together? Or because you guys have history and have been friends for 10 years? Is that it? Is that the only reason you like her? Are you afraid that you're not going to have another friend? Are you afraid that she's going to spill all your secrets? Are you afraid that, they this, that, and the other. And if you're staying in a friendship because you just genuinely are scared of the what ifs, then that's not a good friendship to be in anyway. Because every single friend I have in my life right now, I know without a shadow of a doubt, if we were to stop being friends, my secrets would still stay safe with them. I have surrounded myself with such women that even if we were to fall out or not talk anymore, I know I have picked the right women in my life, that they would protect my secrets and they would still love me from afar. And once you build those friendships, it's so monumental, because you just ever wondered why. Why was I in friend groups that I didn't trust them, or I know they weren't going to be loyal to me, or, you know, they just were for good times. And they probably talked about me to my other friends and da-da-da-da-da. And I also get a question, or I see this question a lot, and we can talk about this. How do I make adult friends? And that's such a good point. You know, a lot of people stick around in bad friendships and toxic friendships because they're afraid they're not going to have any friends, right? And we always hear, you know, quality over quantity. That's true. You know, it's better to have one amazing best friend that you can trust for everything than to have 10 good time friends that you see all the time. You know, adult friendships are so hard. I will say, putting yourself out there, if you are listening, putting yourself out there will amaze you. You are never too old to make a new best friend. You know, you'll see friends that have been friends for 10 plus years at my age. And I have those friendships where, I mean, my maid of honor was my best friend since I was in 3rd grade. And we have a bond that's so special, but it's never too old to make new friendships, you know? One of my other best friends, we literally just got close over a year ago, and I couldn't imagine my life without her, and I trust her immensely. And it's always just putting yourself out there. You know, we do have social media, which is fantastic. And for another instance, I saw on TikTok, there was this girl named Nella, and she shared her story on TikTok, and she was like, hey, in my local area, I want to start a group of women that want to empower each other and, you know, push each other to grow, and I want to start meeting up on walks or dinners or whatever. And I put myself out there, and I reached out to her. I became a part of the planning committee for that group, and I have met so many amazing women. And I have a group chat with these women. They are becoming friends of mine. We're getting to know each other. I admire all of them impeccably. And it's just never too late. You really do have to put yourself out there, right? And that can be scary and nervous because we're all scared of rejection. What if they don't like me? What if I get bad vibes from them? Then do you want to be that friend anyway? You know, if a woman ever gives you a bad vibe, or they're stuck up, or, you know, they think you're weird, who cares? Shame on them, you know? So putting yourself out there, you're just never too old to meet a new best friend. I always tell like my mom and her best friend's like love story. My mom was from Florida, and my mom has a very like badass, I feel like, story, but my mom was in Florida in her early 20s, and she had been with a guy for 5 years, and she got cheated on. So she said, okay, screw this. I'm going to North Carolina and move to Asheville with one of my best friends. And there she met my dad. And my dad was in Asheville, North Carolina. They had a farm where I grew up at, a family farm that he was given. So they moved here. Well, my sister was about 3, and my mom put herself into like a mommy and me morning program, and she met her best friend, Cindy, who ended up being my godmother, who was also here from Virginia Beach, and didn't know anybody, and put herself in a mommy and me group, and they became best friends, and still to this day, they are each other's best friends. And we grew up with them, her kids, my sister and I. They ended up being our godparents because my mom didn't have a lot of family, and neither did my dad. And that just shows you it's just never too late. Like, my mom was in her late 20s, early 30s before she met her very best friend. And they have been inseparable since. So it's just never too late to put yourself out there. And if you feel like you're too old to find a new friend, you're just not. Because I used to think, I would be in these friendships when I was younger, in my late teens, early 20s in college. And I used to be like, I've waited my whole life to find this person. This is going to be the maid of honor in my wedding. She is going to be my best friend for life, blah, 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 blah. And then when you have that friendship breakup and it's absolutely heartbreaking and devastating, you're like, I'm never going to be close with anybody again. We clicked, we had fun together. And again, I've never had a friendship that I didn't replace with a 10 times better one. And I want that to sink in for everybody, because if you are ever questioning a friend, if you are ever not proud to be somebody's friend, if you ever feel like you can say 10 things about them that aren't great over 10 great things about them, then that's just not the friendship for you. And I'm still making new friends every day. Will some of these friends just be friends where we go and get coffee and walk and I don't tell my darkest secrets to? Absolutely. But those friends are good too. I'm still proud to be their friend. I still admire them. I still, like to hang out with them. I would trust them, but I don't, because I do think you need to keep your circle small. And I do think trust is earned. I also think I wish I could tell myself that don't just trust anybody because you like them. You can like somebody and like their outfits and like going out with them and having drinks with them, but that doesn't mean you should trust them. And I am the type of person that I always used to be like, why not trust them? And I trusted everybody. Don't trust everybody. Find people you can trust, without a doubt will take your secrets to your grave. And not even secrets, like just trust with the home you're creating, the life you're building. Not everybody needs to see inside all of your home and life. You ever meet the people that just go on rants on Facebook and like they have, like, I see these women on Facebook, right? And they'll go on rants. And every time they break up with their husband, they talk about it on Facebook. And then they get back together, they talk about it on Facebook. And I always feel really bad for those women, because I feel like you don't have a good group of friends that you can trust, because not everyone needs to see those parts of your life. Not everybody needs to know what's going on in your home. Your home is sacred. Your life is sacred. Especially when you have kids and stuff, I feel like that's sacred. All my friends that have kids, I have a really good friend who has a baby boy who I love. He is my favorite little squish. And she's really protective over the people that she allows around him in her life. And she should be, because it's sacred to be a part of that baby's life. She should only have people around that baby that she trusts. And I completely agree. Your life is so valuable, and I just think that if you don't have friends that you can trust without a shadow of a doubt, they really shouldn't be in your circle. Loyalty is also a really big thing for me, and I know it's not for some people. And loyalty means different things for different people. I'm really over the narrative of like, they didn't do anything to me. So when I don't like somebody because they did something shitty to me, and a friend looks at me and says, but they didn't do anything to me, but they would. Just because it wasn't done to you doesn't mean they're trustworthy and they wouldn't do that to you, right? I don't like having friends in my life that don't have that loyalty, because I have it. If somebody does something really shitty to somebody close to me, I'm done. I'm not saying I'm never going to be nice or speak to that person or be cordial, but they're not going to be allowed into my space, because just because it wasn't done to you, if they can do it to a close friend of yours, they can do it to you also. A friend to all is a friend to none. Remember that. You aren't special. If somebody is shitty to one person or lies or cheats or whatever, they will do it to you back. You are not that one special person they won't do it to. I think we need to start holding people accountable and stop always worrying about if we're going to be liked or how many Facebook friends we have or I don't want to be in drama. You don't have to be in drama. Hold people to a high standard. If they do something shitty to your friend, you should not want to be around that person. You should not want to trust that person. You should have the loyalty of saying, this is not somebody that I would want around. Saying I don't want drama is such a fucking middle school thing to say. It doesn't have to be drama. Just be like, you did something shitty to my friend. I really don't care for it and I don't really like you in my life. Bye. Simple. I never understand people that are all like, well, they did nothing to me. I don't like confrontation. It doesn't have to be confrontational. Nothing about saying, hey, don't like what you did to my friend. I don't really accept that from my life. Wish you well. We can still be cordial, but like I'm good. Nothing about that's confrontational. Nothing about that makes you a bitch. Women are so scared of confrontation and looking like the bad guy or being somebody villains that we stop for ourselves from doing the right thing. Fuck that. If you want to be a good person and stand up for your friendships, sometimes you're going to look like a bitch. Sometimes you're going to have to be the villain. And you know what? That's okay because I can sleep at night knowing I did the right thing and knowing I stuck up for the person that I knew was done dirty. Stop sitting there and not making your friends feel like they can rely on you if shit hits the fan because that's all that does. You're going to end up losing the real friend because you didn't stick up for her because something was done shitty and you didn't want to have confrontation. No, I ride or die for my friends. And you need to have people in your life that will do the same. And if somebody sits there and goes, I don't like the drama or she didn't do anything to me. Nope. Sorry. Bye. But that's just me. And I do realize that not everybody is as loyal to me. And I am loyal to a fault. And that probably needs to be a different discussion for a different day. But I also know there has been friendships where I've had a falling out with a friend and I met some of her mutual friends and got really close with them and we kind of had a friend group or whatever. And when me and that friend had a falling out, one of our mutual friends took her side because she had known her longer. Even though she didn't necessarily think she was right, she was scared of her. And we had a falling out. And I remember looking at her and being like, but why? Why'd you stop talking to me? Why did you stop being my friend? You knew I hadn't done anything wrong. And, you took her side. Well, I didn't want to lose her. Well, okay. They're not friends now. Look how that worked out for you. All this to say on my tangent of friendship breakups, I just think that trust, loyalty, compatibility goes a long way in every single relationship. I do treat a lot of my friendships. I mean, my marriage will always come first because Dylan is my ultimate best friend. And, they always say treat your marriage like you guys are friends first. And so why wouldn't you hold your friendships kind of to that same standard, where you can lean on them, trust them, if they need you, if they're sick. And I'm so glad I have so many of my friends in my life that I just know I could call for anything and I can trust with anything. And that's so important. And recently in this last year, I did have to cut off a friendship for so many reasons. They were very selfish and it was always about them. And they would call me not to ask me about my life or be there for me or care what I had to say. They were very like me. I'm calling you to tell you about me. You weren't allowed to give your opinion because I'm sensitive. I get my feelings hurt. And I'm the type of person, if you don't want me to tell you the truth or tell you what I think you need to hear, then you're in the wrong friendship. I will do it nicely, but I will give you my opinion if you ask for it. And sometimes even when you don't ask for it, because sometimes we need that in our lives. And I just had to cut off that friendship because it was really draining. It was always about them and it was always one-sided. And I knew they didn't really care about my life. I knew that they just wanted me as a friend because they needed somebody to listen to them about their life. And they needed almost like an emotional support friend, but they didn't really want to ever put in the effort or care about my life or the things I like, or they weren't somebody I could ever rely on. I was the reliable one. They saw that. They are like, oh, Jayme is a reliable, loyal friend. And every time I get into a clusterfuck or I need her, I can call and she'll pick up and she'll listen to me for 2 hours, bitch and moan about the same thing. And I need that emotionally. But if the roles were reversed, she wouldn't be there for me. And that does suck sometimes, being the friend that is so loyal and so trusting and always there for you to a fault. And it does get draining if a friendship is one-sided. So I did have to cut that off. And it's never good to cut off a friendship. It never goes the way you think it does. But I can promise you, I don't miss her. I don't. I wish her well. I wish her the best. I don't think she's a bad person. I think she's a good person, and I think she has a good heart. And it's not necessarily that she did things maliciously, but I also just don't think she had the capacity to be the friend I needed her to be, or be a good friend to me. And I don't know if she even knew what that looks like. And so therefore I cut it off, because life is too short to have shitty friends. Life is too short to have friends that aren't going to be there for you and you only are there for them. Relationships can't be one-sided. It takes two. It always does. It always will. And find friends that are willing to put in that work with you. Find friends that feel lightweight and give you peace, and you're not anxious around, or you don't dread picking up their phone call, or you want to check in on. When I go without talking to my friends, I genuinely miss them. I genuinely want to check in. Life gets busy. There's a lot of friends that I see a lot more than my other friends. I have about 5 best friends, and nothing makes me so more excited when I can get all of them in the same room. They're not really necessarily friends. They are because of me, but they are genuinely like my lifelines and my support. Whenever I can get them into rooms, I get so excited because I want everyone to be friends and I want to laugh. And there's no pressure. It feels lightweight. It doesn't feel like a competition. It doesn't feel, I love hanging out with a lot of their friends as well. I love when I meet a friend and become like best friends with her, and then I meet her friends and go, oh my God, she has good taste in friends. That is so important for women. When you meet somebody and then you meet their friends and you're like, God, they have good taste in men. They have good taste in friends. It makes you like them more, because you're like, oh, they have good taste. They value your friendships just as much as you do. And I think that's telling. If you ever meet a friend and then you meet the rest of her friends and you like them all too, you're like, oh, this is good. If you meet a friend and you don't like any of her friends, sometimes people just don't have good taste in friends. So, but yeah, I have really 5 close friendships, and they come from all different stages of life. And they all play a very big role in my life. I trust them all immensely. I love spending time with them all. I don't ever feel like I have to. I always feel like I want to. I know that we can go 2 weeks or 3 weeks without talking, and we can call each other and pick up right where we left off. That's so important. Space and time doesn't put a wedge between us. And, there's some friends that I talk to every single day, and, it's just easy like that. So I just think having friends that you want to be around and genuinely want to see and don't feel like they take so much out of you and they just give you peace, that's all I'm looking for in my life is peace. And if you don't bring it to me, goodbye, bye. Anyway, that's a little bit about my friendships and my life. I could go on and talk about this, but I want to wrap it up with a few things to say. You're never too old to find your best friend. Remember that. So if you are in your 50s or 60s listening to me, because, I have so many women on here from all different age categories, you're never too old to find a best friend. You're never too old to meet somebody. I know there's this website called Meetup. If you are in the 40, 50, 60 category listening to me, there's this not older. It's for everybody in all age groups, but there's this website called Meetup. I do it a lot for my work to get people to meet up at my brewery, but there's so many meetup groups probably in your area for 40, 50, 60 singles, or 40, 50 women's groups, or if you're religious, a religious group, or a book club, and it's called Meetup. And I highly, highly suggest, even if you're in your 30s or 20s, finding groups like that and putting yourself out there. Go to this meetup group, go to a woman's lunch, go to church with a friend, tag along, put yourself out there. But I will say that shout out Meetup if you want to, this is not a paid ad, but if you want to, let me know. But I definitely recommend websites like that, especially to, I see a lot of 30, 40, 50, 60 women on there, wine groups, dog groups, walking your dog with other people that love dogs and animals, stuff like that, all over Meetup. 2, your life will be a lot more peaceful when you get rid of friendships that aren't worth your time. And I don't think there's any good way to break up with a friend, whether you slowly back away or if they ask you hey, why don't we hang out anymore? I think being honest is always the best way, because it's uncomfortable as it is. Breaking up with a friend, I always realize that my life ends up being more peaceful and I really don't even end up missing them that much. 3, I really, really think trust is everything. If you don't trust somebody that's sitting at your table is probably too big. Or you might need to get a new table. Yeah. So also, if you are in the Raleigh, North Carolina group and want to know more about the group that I joined, it's called Step Into Her Raleigh. I think I follow them on my Instagram, the Authentic Society Instagram account. Go follow them. We plan on doing meetups and group events every month. We've already done 2, and the amount of women I met through this group, my friend Nella, I just messaged her, asked her if she ever needed help planning, and it's been great. She's a great, amazing woman. I admire her so much, and those are the type of women I continue to want to meet, as somebody I admire. I don't feel like competition at. And if you ever feel like you're in competition with another woman, just know, I think every woman I have ever met, we want the same things. We want friends that love us, a good relationship, a good marriage. We want to feel valued and adored. And sometimes I think we're so hard on other women because we're missing something in ourselves. So yeah, that's really just wraps up the friendship, breakups, makeups, all the things. Also, you have a friend in me. If you've listened this far on this episode, know that we're friends. I'm being vulnerable. I love when you guys get vulnerable and deep with me in the comments. I try to comment back to as much as you. I also message with you a lot on Instagram. And yeah, you have a friend in me. That's what this community all about, is growing a big community full of women that want to empower each other and embrace each other and that are real and authentic, and there's no competition and there's no judgment. And that's hope. That is all I want for anybody listening, is I hope you find those people in your life. I hope you find people that uplift you and are back you and are proud of you, and there's no competition and they want you to succeed. Because when you have those people that back you and you feel that confidence from the people you love you, it really makes your confidence boost, and it makes your life better, and it makes you feel like you can grow and get all the things you want to done in life. And so I hope every single one of you find that. And I hope that if you might not have it right now, you can find it here with Authentic Society. So I will talk to you guys later. I'll talk to you next week, and I hope you have a great week. Bye.